Hey guys, Jacob here. This is Angler's Adjustments, and we're talking about soft jerk baits today. But before we touch on the baits and everything else, the very first thing that I want to talk about that is very crucial to this entire process, if this is not dialed, your jerkbait fishing is basically gone out the window. It's gonna not be efficient enough, or the bait's just not gonna run right like it's supposed to. So that being said, I want to go over the rod first. This is St. Croix's jerkbait special rod. This is the LCB 68MF. She is a Legend Tournament rod, 610, very versatile rod. I use it for both rigging options of both jerk baits. It's also a great finesse jig rod. That is primarily what I run with this rod, and it is so light in the hand, you don't wear yourself out. When you're working the jerk bait, whether it's 1, 2, 3 twitches throughout the course of a day or a morning, or even an hour of fishing it or 8 hours of fishing it, my hand does not get tired at all. I mean, this thing is silly light. It feels very light in the hand, and it makes fishing really comfortable. Oh, there's Casie. Yeah, it just makes fishing really comfortable. And to match a rod up like this, you need a quality reel. We're throwing baits weightless. The Caffeine Shad is pretty heavy, so it really doesn't apply to that one. But the Zoom Super Fluke, I mean, those things are pretty light. So you need a really high quality reel, anywhere from about that 200 range and up. This is a Chronarch. This is a 150 HG. It's a right hand 7-1 to 1. And this thing is butter smooth. I can cast those light super flukes upwind with ease, and it's less effort on my part, and it's easy to fish the thing. That is why I got a dedicated jerkbait rod. Sorry, this pretty loud diesel's coming by. It never fails. Okay, anyways, while he's passing by, next is line. This is 10-pound fluorocarbon. Specifically P-line. I do like this fluorocarbon. It even in cold water, it doesn't seem to get brittle. I've had it for 2 seasons straight, just to try to see how long it lasts, to see if it breaks. And the line is just super solid. I can't say enough good things about P-line. It doesn't have any memory. Let's talk about rods, or baits, excuse me. So let's get a constant variable out of the way. So that constant variable is going to be water clarity. So I'm fishing these jerk baits 2 feet of viz or more. If I've got that 2 feet or more, that is basically my confidence starter. It kind of basically lets me know that a jerk bait's going to work. One, because they can see it. It fishes a wider area. And 2, I can stick with my natural colors. I don't have to own 20 different colors of one thing for every color water situation, because I'm that dialed with my jerkbait fishing. So that being said, this entire video, just keeping in mind 2 feet of viz or more. So the first one, we're going to talk about the Zoom Super Fluke. So the application that I use with this bait is actually quite simple. This jerkbait here, to me, is my less erratic jerkbait. It's my jerkbait that I'm going to throw when the fish are a little bit less finicky and I can't really get them to commit to a reaction bite. This is more of a soft twitching bait for me. I'll actually put it right there. It's more of a soft twitching bait, and I throw it shallow. Here's another loud diesel again. Anyways, with that fluke, I'm going to keep it around that 1 to 3 foot range. I don't really like going deeper because you have to wait so long for that jerkbait to reach down there. So let's go over the very first rig with this thing, and we're going to set this up for shallow water. So how am I going to do that? Well, it's a real simple trick. This here on my rod right now is a size 4 EWG. Now, it's not a super line. Stay away from that just because it adds weight to the fluke, and that's just not gonna work for this specification. So that being said, let me get up and rig this for you guys. So this is a Texas rig. This is that size 4 EWG. This is the belly of that bait, and on this side is the back. So what you want to do is have the belly facing to your right. When you're holding one up, just as long as it faces to the right, I'm going to use this point here to go into the bait. I'm going to go straight down into it. Now, this is the important part. It has to be straight. If you do it kinked in any way in the nose, the jerkbait is going to be consistent, and consistency is not what you want. So as long as it's straight, and to set it up for shallow water, I'm going to go deeper than normal, and I'm actually going to come out the very bottom part of the neck of this jerkbait right there. And then we're just going to push it all the way up, just going all the way up here. So this is the important part. You're at this point, so it's all one motion. You're just going to push and twist at the same time. So I'm going to push and then twist. And there you have that bait right there. And then of course fix it. The plastic's going to be a little weird. Just stretch it out and it'll come out right. Then you're going to lay this bait flat, just like that, against the hook point. That way you can see exactly where you need to place that hook. See where it already lines up? And then you're just going to stick your thumb in between the two little flaps that are on this jerkbait. And then I'm going to measure it with my finger. So there we are. And then I'm just going to poke through wherever I measured my finger, or measured the bait with my finger. And the hook is going to lay flat right there. There she is. And then I'm just going to take the plastic laying in front of it, pull it forward, and then put it over that hook point. And we just exposed it. And I'm going to fish that thing super shallow. Now with it rigged that far into the bait, I mean, look how deep that is. That is pretty deep. Now this jerkbait, whenever you throw it shallow and you're twitching it, it's not really staying underwater. This jerkbait is literally jumping out of the water. It's such a cool thing to see. It'll go left, right, it'll jump out occasionally, it'll jump out even higher the harder you twitch it. It just looks like a bait fish that is trying to get away from the others and basically survive. And when the bass see that, they just unleash themselves and they will go straight for that. They will ignore all the other bait fish and go straight for that one. It is really, really solid. So if I wanted to fish subsurface, I didn't want to go in the top of the water. All I'm going to do here, I'm just going to start from scratch. So we're going to use that fluke again. So here it is, Texas rig again. So I'm just going to go through the nose, but instead of going that deep, I'm going to come out that much. See how much less plastic I have compared to the other one? That right there, whenever you go to rig that bait, and you start twitching it and all that, it does not come out of the water like the previous one. It stays underwater, and you're just not jumping out, basically. And the fish have their preferences some days, so try both. If they're blowing up, I will stick with the first method. If I see swirls and everything like that, I'll start with this second one, and that's going to keep me subsurface at that fish's level so they can see it and just hammer it. And that is a pretty cool bait. Now, whenever I've got conditions like today, so I've got a couple clouds, they're not really helping me a lot. It's all basically 95% bluebird skies. That's when I'm going to change methods. So we're going to grab a new fluke. Oh, I dropped one over here. Yep. Here's this new fluke. And we are going to nose rig this bait. So with the nose rig, you're going to need a medium size owner CPS spring. There it is right there. There's that nose of that bait. There's that spring. There we go. She's sitting right there. And then I'm just going to screw it into the nose. Now the biggest key with this rig here is to make sure that the little ring that you saw on the spring is flat with the belly. So there's a little ring that you see sticking out right there. That has to be flat with the bait. Here it's pretty solid. So that is exactly what you want. Just go a little deeper. I want that entire loop in the plastic. But that same principle applies. So here we go, we got it nice and flat. Quick way to check it is just to look this way and point the fish right at you, or the jerkbait right at you. If it's level, you got it. And then I'm gonna take a size 2 finesse wide gap with the weed guard here. That's gonna really help stay out of that cover, not get any kind of a gunk on the hook or whatever. And the reason why you want it to be flat is because whenever you go through this bait, you're just going to nose hook it. Well, that ring is actually on the hook itself now. So if it's kinked this way or whatnot, the bait's going to be consistent. You don't want that again. So that is how you're going to rig it, and then you're just going to put that flap or the keeper right behind the barb, and so you get that sun out of the way, and man, you got it. And right there, it's erratic. You can stay shallow with it. It tends to nosedive more, so that's when I'll push it to 3 feet. After that, I'll completely change. One big key that I didn't mention yet is that with these flukes here, I really don't like wind with it. It just doesn't really match the environment. So as long as I got no wind and there's bluebird skies, I'm going this rig. If there's no wind and I'm fishing shallow, then I'm just gonna go with that Texas rig. If it's a little cloudy or I can get away with it, the fish aren't short striking it at all, I'll just go with that EWG setup, which is what we first went over. Talking about the caffeine shad now. Where this bait shines is A, when there's wind, 2, when the fish are a little deeper, and 3, when they are really aggressive. That caffeine shad right there is more reactive than a Zoom Super Fluke at every twitch level. You can do it at a soft twitch. This one does it a little more, has more shimmy to it. Medium twitch has a little more. But when you really jerk the bait, this caffeine shad comes to life. It just darts everywhere, come out of the water, everything like that. So don't get me wrong, this bait can still be fished shallow. You'll just take that EWG hook and push it back down all the way, just like we did previously, and make that hook come out right there at that hook point. And you can fish it shallow. But the main goal with this fluke here is to get deeper. So my primary rig, I don't typically start with this EWG rig. So the first rig that I always start with this bait is going to be a nose rig, and that's it. And guys, you can wait for your pauses to be 5, 6, 10 seconds. This bait will reach 10 feet. It will go down there, be efficient, catch a lot of fish where a lot of guys aren't even throwing flukes. My hookup to land ratio is excellent. They eat it head first all the time. The only downside to this rig is as soon as you feel the thump, as soon as you feel the tick, just set. If you give that fish too long to eat the bait, chances are he's going to get it way down here. You're going to hurt the fish and possibly kill him. So please don't do that with this rig. As soon as you feel that, just swing. I mean, hook sets are free, right? I heard that a lot. So just swing. If he's not there, he's not there. You can always make another cast. The fish will live and you'll be fine. If I want to change colors, we haven't talked about that at all. I'm going to go with the same baits. Now, the water clarity still has to be 2 feet or more, but the sun isn't going to be out. So what I mean by that, there's cloud cover, overcast everywhere. I mean, if you look, you shouldn't be able to see the sun, or even if you do, you should only be able to see a tiny bit of sun rays coming through. So that is when I convert to the smoking shad. That is the color smoking shad in caffeine, in the caffeine shads by Strike King. And if you wanted to get that same color in the fluke, either go albino, which is a really good color, or go baitfish. And baitfish is essentially this, but a darker gray, and it's got that silver flake in it. It looks really, really nice. I just don't have any with me. I should have brought some, right? But yeah, that color right there is going to be for my overcast days. And after that, I'm covered. So we covered everything from the rod, the baits themselves, how to fish them, or what conditions to fish them in. We haven't gone over how. We're going to do that in a second. We covered rigging options. So now we just got to catch a fish on them. And I see the water right in front of me. So that being said, when the wind blows, the bait fish tend to go with it because there's algae, there's food there, there's little snails that they eat that's with it. And the bass know that, so they're going to corral them while they're eating to try and capitalize on their mistakes. So here we are, we're in the water now, we're at that point, and I'm just going to jerk this jerkbait. So with Cadence, it's variable. I'm going to let the fish tell me. So first I'm just going to start out very erratic. Gonna do 3 pops, 1 pop, and I'm not really waiting too long. The max I'm waiting is probably about 2 seconds when I jerk this jerk bait. So I'm gonna make another cast 10 feet to the left of that. Well, actually 20. I completely botched that throw. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep jerking really hard. And again, I'm not really waiting too long. It's only about a second, maybe 2 at the most. I'm just gonna vary it. So there's 1 pop. 1 second goes by, 2 pops. Another second goes by, a 1 pop. Another second goes by, 1, 2, 3 pops. 1, and then 1, 2. It completely variable. Let the fish tell you. Now I'm gonna go 10 feet to the right of it. 1 second. 1, 2, 1 Mississippi. 1, 2, 3. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 1 pop. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 pops. Just completely change up your retrieve. That way, you will find exactly what the fish wants. So I made 3 key casts that cover the entire spectrum. So now we're gonna slow down. So we're gonna make the first cast again to that point, and we're gonna slow down. So we're gonna slow down maybe 5 seconds. I'll just throw a random number out there. I start at 5. So there's 5 seconds went by. Then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 pop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 pops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Completely change it up. 1, 2, 3. But I'm still doing it pretty hard. I'm still trying to get a feel for what these fish want exactly. Now we tried different cadences, but we tried them all popping it hard. So now we're just gonna do light twitches and see if that gets us bit or not. So we're just gonna do 20 feet to the left of that, and we're just gonna slow down. Still 5 seconds, but I'm gonna do softer pauses. So 4 and 5, 1, 2, very soft and subtle. 1. And then from here, I just kind of use the weight of the rod to implement action of the bait. So you're not really using your hand, you're kind of just picking up the rod and letting it fall. That's how subtle you got to think of it. That's how I do it. It just makes that bait present itself a lot more in a subtle manner. And either the fish love it, or they're not going to interact. Oh yeah, we're out here, boys. We are out here. I love that dog. Make a longer cast just to check. And that's more in the middle of the water. But right now I'm in full search mode, so the prime areas that I looked for, they're not working. So we're gonna have to adjust. Uh-oh. Oh, they're yelling at the construction site. Oh, here we go. Oh, I just had a bite. I just left it there, not paying attention. That tells me a lot. We're gonna have to slow down a ton. See, that right there told me a whole lot. I heard somebody yelling over there at the construction site that's behind us here, and the bait was just sitting there, and instantly I felt tick, and it just got heavy. So that means that the fish are in a finicky mood. They're not wanting to move as much. How much time we got here? 15. They're not wanting to move as much. So we're gonna have to slow down a lot. So I'm gonna make that same cast again, and we're just gonna keep it nice and methodical. We're just gonna jerk maybe once here or there, but for the most part we're just bottom contact, just jerking along the bottom, looking like a naive bait fish that's just dying. Here we go again. I'll get another bite. Here he is. That's how you do it, guys. That's how you got to gauge them in order to figure out what they want. And here's a really important tip too. When you catch a fish, pay attention to exactly how they eat it. So with this guy here, you got the hook that's in his mouth, but see how easily it comes out? And do you see how that same little hook point right there in his mouth here? Right here. But you see how much it ripped his skin, and how on the outside of it, on the outside of his lip a little bit? That tells me that the fish aren't really reacting to the bait. They're sort of just picking it up. And they're not really in a feeding mood. So I got the bite, I slowed down. That was probably the same exact fish I missed. He's little, but man, that is a giant clue that you need to pay attention to. and that guy's gonna help you catch bigger fish simply by that simple detail right there that you have to pay attention to. So let's get this guy back. Put him down nice and easy. Go ahead, buddy. And he's off. Okay guys, so here we did get a bite shallow, so we're coming out deeper. Here it's about 5 feet, 6 feet, and we're gonna use that same technique where we're using the fish information that we got over there to use one twitch per cast. Well, not per cast, actually, when the bait is on bottom. That's how they've been wanting it all day today. So we're just gonna listen to them here. Oh, there's one right off of the bat, just letting it fall. Another caffeine shadfish. We're gonna wheel him in here. Nice and subtle. I don't even know where he's at. Oh, he's a good one. He's a good one. Oh my God, this is a good one. He's taking drag. This is actually a good one, guys. We came offshore. They weren't biting really good, but I've got him. Oh, don't come off. Don't come off. Watch out, Casie. Watch out. Move, move. There we go, baby. That is what you're looking for with soft jerk baits. When they're not eating shallow, you need to change areas and you have to try the deeper portions. But look at that fish. He's got a caffeine shad right in his face. I went to that EWG hook just because I ran out of springs. But man, that fish hammered it. Really subtle. All I was doing is just letting it sink. They were not wanting to eat this thing very hard or aggressive. So did it the way they wanted it and you will get bit. That is super awesome right there. That is a really nice fish, especially for here. He's about 2 pounds, guys. That is a really nice fish. There he is, y'all. Oh man, yes. Hey guys, this whole jerkbait video has been really fun. I enjoyed spilling out all my little secrets or things to catch fish. But hey, look, if you enjoyed the video just as much as I did, just give me a like. Gives me more motivation to make another video just like this. And I haven't really decided on the next video, but man, all I know is that it was fun. I'll catch you guys on the next one.